Superman, issue 30, legacy number 873, Joshua Williamson writing with Dan Mora on the art. So, this is the second sort of, or the third part of the Superboy Prime thing. It does round it out. This is the end of this little mini arc. And he was faking. He was like, he can do what Superman can. He can convince these telepathic legionnaires that he is a little bitch and he does want to work with them, but then trick them because he's also wants to help Superman, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, it's kind of notable that when Saturn Girl, and this is absolute Saturn Girl, is recounting her like origin, if you will, and talking about getting involved in the war, and she like killed lots of people, and they put her in a straitjacket and thinged her up. She started hearing the voice, that voice being Darkseid's, and she even saw Darkseid, and even saw a vision of Absolute Superman, which is kind of interesting as well.
Yeah, because when you think about what the Legion is and how it's from the future and whatnot, how is she seeing this? Right? Like, what cross-dimensional type stuff is going on? So yeah, crazy times. I thought that was super cool. It definitely made it like, again, I've done so many Legion things and so many different origins, and this one being dark, like there's not a civil war, but a war going on between Titan and Brawl, which are two of the places where the Legion come from, and just the fact that she's able to turn the Brawl Guard on each other with her mind things, and then Cosmic Boy's there, and they're not friends. They didn't join up in inspired by Superman, so it's like a team up of convenience. So just the whole spinning of that origin really works.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think the idea of what her saying Absolute Superman's not that complicated. I think it's just in the past, right? Which makes sense that it's possible. Because I think at least the Absolute Legion, or Darkseid's Legion, whatever we're calling it, I think they started in the Absolute Universe and then they've been like hopping. I mean, they even say they've been hopping with the help of Booster Gold's like Omega energy or Chronal energy or whatever, right? But they're going to eventually kill him, which did lead to a very funny line where, as Superboy Prime is going to kill him, says, "Oh, Dan Jurgens is going to be pissed." That did make me laugh. I'm not going to lie.
Yes, that was a very good line.
Yeah. Also, there was a bit though that I think should give Matt an existential crisis, because Superboy Prime says Superman's the best and Batman can suck eggs, and I thought Matt cannot feel proud that he is just Superboy Prime in reality.
Look, I've come to terms with it. If I could punch holes in reality, I would.
Okay.
Right? I lack the Kryptonian powers to do so. So that said, I've come down from my Batman hate boner.
I'm just saying that this is not the character you want to be compared to. In the same way that Connor doesn't want to be compared to Jason Todd, which he clearly is the Jason Todd of everything.
Yes.
Right?
Also, Pete, you also forget that I also love Guy Gardner. So I have no problems with the shade that comes with liking and being associated with other characters.
That's true.
But I did think that was very funny. And it was very nice for Superboy Prime to get this redemption in this way, where he's like, I could hide I wanted to team up with them because I hate the Legion. So that hatred like covered that up because of his history with them. But at the end of the day, he wants to do what's right because of Superman. And that also is kind of the ideals of the Legion. So Williamson wrote like this circular reasoning for Superboy Prime that works out really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm kind of lukewarm in the issue as a whole. Not because it's like bad or anything, but just because I look back at this little arc, right? And I'm like, okay, the important things we've done here is maybe establish a little bit of how the Darkseid Legion started, which is that Darkseid started like talking and showing visions to Imra and all the others in the future, and that kind of brought them all together, blah, blah, blah. Right, that's fine. Which does also suggest that maybe Absolute Superman didn't become this influence in the way that regular Superman did. That's also fine. So I appreciate that little bit of fleshing out, and obviously like Superman getting Booster Gold back, and then the cliffhanger of like, oh, we have to call in all the League and like get talking because Darkseid's got a Legion, like Darkseid's not gone, right? That's important. But when I actually think about the actual plot of like all this stuff. And part of me, I guess, is because I thought it was going to be longer than this. It felt like it was all kind of resolved very quickly, I guess. And it just kind of felt like all of the interactions with the Legion and like Superboy Prime talking to them in this issue and last issue, I just kind of feel like this, I mean, calling it filler feels maybe a little harsh, but it just kind of feels like it didn't really matter that much, you know, because by the end of it, Superboy Prime just has these little standoff with them, and it's maybe this heroic moment, and I get that, but I just kind of felt like, yeah, but like nothing of real importance kind of happened. Like, I don't know, like, is it going to matter that this happened, other than just like Superman knowing that Darkseid's got a Legion that's coming? Like, is that the only real important thing going forward?
So I do feel like, because they're setting up KO, right?
Yes.
And I do feel like when Superman gives Superboy Prime the Legion ring, right? And, you know, he's like, hey, I didn't earn it. And he's like, yeah, but you will. And then when Superboy Prime, reality punches Superman back through the portal, when he says, you know, you're going to need this, you know, the one way you're going to be able to stop Darkseid is to not hold back. I do feel like, again, the circular reasoning of Superman inspired Superboy Prime, and now because of the edge that Superboy Prime has, he's going to be inspired, or he's going to be able to inspire Superman in whatever happens with KO, right? Going forward, is that because we're dealing with like this ultimate evil with Darkseid and the fate of the multiverse and whatever, Superman's going to have to find that edge somewhere, you know? And as someone that's a fan of pro wrestling, this kind of storytelling is very much in my wheelhouse, you know, of the, hey, you're the tried and true baby face, good guy. If you want to beat these guys, you're gonna have to dig deep and find that dark side, but not go completely over, right? Because you still need to be the hero. So just for all of that, I really appreciate it. But I would understand how someone who's not as jazzed of Superboy Prime and the Legion and Booster, you'd be like, yeah, no, this should have been longer, could have been longer.
It's not, I don't even think it's the people involved per se. I think it's just because for this issue, even though a good chunk of it's Imra telling her backstory and there's a little interlude with Lex beating up a Darkseid monk or whatever he is.
God, that is Karate Kid, all right? And then Lex turns his neck all the way around, which I thought was cool as hell.
This doesn't look anything like Ralph Macchio, first of all. Second...
True.
Right? Second, right? He didn't sweep the leg. Maybe he did. I don't know. But he definitely did the full-on exorcist twist, right? And
yes.
Which is fine. Like, I'm okay with Lex killing someone because he's Lex Luthor. I don't know. Imagining him snapping a neck so bad that he turns his head all the way around, though, it does feel a little bit on the extreme side, admittedly. But whatever there's teasing with Lex there, I don't know. But they're building to something. But once we get to all the actual like Legion, Superboy Prime, Superman stuff, though, it's basically just we're going through the motions of talking about what we're going to do, which is kill Booster, and Prime's just playing along until the moment where he says, "Nope, you fools, I'm not on your side." And you know, we did the whole cliffhanger last time, which was, Superman, I'm not on your side. I'm going to join the Legion of Darkseid now. Blah 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 blah. So I just kind of feel like while. I mean, I could have seen it coming, and part of me always kind of thought, oh, he's going to just turn it to be helping Superman. This is just him playing the game. I don't think there was anything interesting that happened in that duration where he was pretending to be on their side. Like, I don't know if it like really like gave me any excitement or accomplished anything in terms of like, you know, an interesting story.
It got me to going like, oh yeah, this was the really crappy version of Superboy Prime that I did not like. Right, so it was leading back into that for me, and we also got the Jurgens line in there when he's with the Legion.
Sure,
you know. So, you know, but no, I really enjoyed this just as a fan of the Legion and what this all represents with Superman. Like him seeing this dark vision of the future where he didn't inspire. Right, it's Darkseid that's the inspiration, and how bad the future is. Well, and when Saturn Girl even says, it's like we didn't get inspired by the past. We're inspired by the end.
Just technically, we're not in a future inspired by Darkseid. That's not what we're seeing. We're in the ruins of the future that used to be inspired by Superman because this Darkseid Legion have obliterated it. Just to be clear.
Right, but what the Darkseid Legion represents, right? It's almost inspired by that. Where Saturn Girl says, you know, we weren't inspired by the past, we're inspired by the end. And it almost makes them like a death cult kind of vibe, right? So just the idea that Superman has to deal with that, and that raises the stakes for him. But yeah, and just the interplay between them, because the Legion are meant to be this group of friends, and just the way that they're talking to each other, and the way that Saturn Girl deals with Lightning Lad and all of that type of stuff. I thought that was all really good and well handled.
I guess. I don't know. I just there wasn't much of a story, I guess, for me here in this issue. It was kind of just talking until the time for Superboy to make his turn, or Prime to make his turn specifically, not regular Superboy. SP, we'll call him. So anyway, and
then also another quick thing I want to talk about too is the fact that Superboy Prime ends up with the Legion Lost, which was the so back in the day when they had the Legion of Three Worlds, which was the story
I'm
that
just gonna
ended Superboy Prime.
Take a nap during this.
Take a nap real quick. There was three versions of the Legion, right? You had Superman's Legion, you had the Legion Lost, which was like the in between, and then you had the Three Boot Legion, which was Mark Waid's, right? They came in 04. So the fact now that you have Superboy Prime with the Legion Flight Ring hanging out with the Legion Lost kids, I think that's a lot of fun. And we might see them pop back up again as almost as like the cavalry, because he's also there with some of the other Legion members, right? There's Starman, the one that got lost in the past and stuff. So and he gets a good long live the Legion page, which popped me big time. It used to be my sign off here on the show. So it hit a lot of that. Things that I like, the good kind of nostalgia, right? Where it's not like they're not going, hey, remember this. This is why I like the Legion, is for stuff like this. The timey-wimey aspect and them having to rally together. And at least Superboy Prime was something interesting to do. If this is his Legion now, this Lost Legion, his group of misfits, it fits very well with him.
I am nonplussed by any of this. The Legion is just that line where it separates the DC nerds from the ultra DC nerds, and you sicko are on that sick line.
Yes,
or past that sick line.
I am a sicko.
Dear. It kind of ends with just Superman showing back up at the Watchtower, which we'll talk about a little bit later again, because it's also in Unlimited. I mean, it even tells you here. This is also see the rest of these events in Justice League Unlimited.
It's the same last page, isn't it? Because it's both Mora. No, this is not Mora. This is Gia Domenico, right? Or is this Mora doing?
This is Mora. No, this is Mora. Right. Gia Domenico's on a different book this week.
Right.
Unlimited.
Which is Unlimited.
Yeah. Right.
But just the art here doesn't look a lot like Mora. It looks like Gia Domenico on this last page.
It's perfectly fine. This is kind of like, look, I think I'm going to enjoy KO, and I often enjoy a lot of DC events. But sometimes the interconnective stuff, or sometimes when Williamson's writing them, I put it under the category of just event slop. And this is kind of what this felt like to me. It's fine, it's not terrible, but it's kind of event slop. So take from that what you will. I just can't feel that positive about it. Matt, what are you rating Superman 30?
I feel we're going to have this as the biggest gap that we've had in a minute. But I'm going to give this an 8.5. I loved it.
I'll give it a generous 6.
There we go.
A generous 6. That's what you're getting.